Thank you. Yeah.
All right, guys. So you see why it is important to have more than one coach because one coach can make a mistake. So, Chit sir, thank you so much for bringing that up. So we just started the recording. So those of you guys who are watching it a little bit later, so we're talking about the financial coaching program that we are introducing this year. And this program will have three coaches. I will be there, Chid sir will be there, and Anidya will be there. And like I said, Chid sir is very, very good with technicals. He has a lot of experience. Chid sir, you want to kind of give a quick overview about yourself so people know you a little bit better?
Well, yeah. Hey, I'm very happy to be here, to be part of this team. Let me make it brief. My background is semiconductor hardware. I worked for 30 plus years in semiconductor hardware. I'm a long-term resident of the Bay Area. Um, but like Deepak ji, I have a passion towards investing, and I started very early. I invested in three different countries, Singapore, India, and US. And I legitimately did FA first, meaning fundamental analysis. And being an engineer with some analytical capability, I wanted to go into TA. So I have, over the years, I don't want to pride myself over this, but my chances of erring in the market have slimmed it down to pretty narrow levels. So I could precisely tell you where that particular chart is heading and what you should do. So even though my background is semiconductor and technology, I'm very familiar with a lot of other companies. Just to give you an example, I was an early investor. I actually bought not only Microsoft IPO, but also Home Depot IPO.
Wow.
And yeah, but as you know, people get greedy, and we never thought of holding it back for a longer period of time. And that's exactly what the three of us are going to bring to you to the table, which we're going to hold it for long term, for 20, 30 years, which we're going to fire, for instance, some of these very choppy ones. So I'll leave it at that, Deepak.
Thank you, Chid sir. So you can see that adds a lot of value, right? So, for example, me personally speaking, and I'm pretty sure many of you guys who are into investing and understand investing, you probably look at me and go like, man, when Deepak does valuation, it's like he comes up with these numbers that are like lowballing everything, and that is true because I don't want to overpay for anything, but at the same time, I do buy a lot of growth companies, so it's not like I don't buy anything that doesn't have a growth and always have to be cheap price or anything like that. But that is true because what it does, it brings a little bit of a balance to the table. So Chitser can, take a look at the market, take a look at the volume, take a look at the channel, and based on all that, he can give us his analysis as to whether this is the right time or not. And then I can look at the fundamentals, I can look at the valuation, and I can say, okay, this is where I see the problem. And then our third coach, Anidya, I don't know if he is able to speak up. Anidya bhai, are you able to speak up at all? I know you. Uh,
Yeah, I'm able to.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit about yourself and kind of tell people what kind of value you bring to the group? Although
Okay.
I don't think anybody needs to know that, but just for clarification.
Yeah, sure, sure. So, yeah, I'm in India. I work at a startup. I've been in Bay Area since 2008. Um, so the value is basically kind of thing when Deepak ji approached me, and before Deepak ji, many people asked me like, um, okay, why don't you start a hedge fund kind of thing and you put in money and you do other stuff? I said, no, it's probably I'm like more like the Warren Buffett guy, but minus the people taking people's money because it's a lot of headache. But yeah, I mean, if you do discuss all of this stuff, right, if it helps somebody, it's okay. So my learning in market was a bit different. I started in the very brave times, the great financial crisis. Luckily, I started in the Indian market. I lost in INR. And then obviously I went back, did the theory, read the theory, and figured out where my mistakes were. And then the greatest part was we got a long bull run after the GFC, and then we had that COVID thing and COVID dip, and then the inflation dip, and then obviously now this one. So one thing I figured out, which I was obviously telling my wife as well. So when I look at my record, which is there. I see I've handsomely not even beaten S&P over the 10, 15 years. I've already beaten Nasdaq as well, handsomely. So it's kind of, and that's both in the US market as well as the Indian market. My gains in the Indian market are, I would say, kind of equal, but I'm not that active in the Indian market. So I thought, yeah, it's a good thing. Whatever I do, I can explain people what I do, what exactly my thought process is. Like today, we had a discussion similarly, which is, I mean, kind of an example, like Nike or Deckers. So there are both plus and minuses. Like it's a kind of a discussion, brainstorming thing. So yeah, I mean, probably the value I have, and what I feel, how I define myself is, I'm neither a bull, neither a bear. I can be an Nvidia bull as well as I can be an Nvidia bear when time comes. So I tend to go with the market. I tend to go with the sentiment of the market. How and I obviously there's some kind of perceived thing I would do. It will not always work. Not 10 on 10 times. No, it will not. Not all stocks in my portfolio are in green, great positives. But as long as the laggards are very minimal compared to the guys who are leading, that's it. My portfolio will run. I mean, anybody's portfolio will run that way. So yeah, I mean, typically where I help my friends is when they ask me, okay, should I invest in this? And what are the pointers? So I start from the basics and saying, okay, this is the thing you see. I don't think this will work out, right? So those kind of a thing. Obviously, Deepak ji, Chet sir, and mine are three different uh, kind of approaches to the market. Um, as I said, I'm neither conservative or kind of more liberal on the investment perspective. It all I can gel well based on what the times are. So that's kind of the perspective I come from, and it's good. I mean, whatever I learned, if I can pass it on, I'm hoping I can teach it to my kids. But let's see if I can pass it on, that will be great.
Thanks, Anindya bhai. Appreciate it. So the plan is, uh, you know, all of us are really, really good at what we do, but we need to do it in a transparent manner. So what we have decided is that we are going to create our own combined account, investment account. Me, Chitsur, and Anidya, we are going to put our own money in that account. And we are going to share with you guys exactly what we are buying, what we are selling, why we are buying it, why we are selling it, what our theory is. So you'll be able to see that on a daily basis. If you want to use that as a model portfolio and follow us along, you're welcome to do that. But idea is that I will come up with 10 or 15 good companies that I believe in. Anidya is going to do the same, and Chitsur is going to do the same. So we're really going to have a portfolio of maybe about 40 to 50 companies. But as a three of us together, we might not invest in all of them. We might invest in few of those where we feel we have the highest conviction to maximize our return. So once again, there is no investment advice on the group. We cannot tell you if that's the right thing for you to do or not. All three of us are just simply sharing why we are buying it, what our thesis is, what our long-term plan is, and we're going to share it with you on a daily basis. Meaning, if we do a transaction, if we buy or sell, we're going to notify the group members that, okay, this is the transaction we are doing. So you know that in real time. In addition to that, we're going to be doing the bi-weekly discussion calls, kind of like what we've been doing for many years now. But this will be a little bit more detailed, a little bit more specific. For example, if the question is we're trying to get into Nike versus Decker, so now we talk about it. We take a look at it from an analytical point of view. We take a look at the fundamental point of view. We take a look at the numbers. We take a look at the business. We take a look at our risk reward ratio. So we get into nitty gritty of why we are making that decision. See, one of the problem I see in finance is there's just too much information. I mean, I was looking at on YouTube earlier, and you can type in why market is going to crash, and you can probably find 5,000 different videos. At the same time, you type in why market is going to go up, you probably find another 5,000 videos. So I don't think I think it's waste of time. We just spend our time watching all that crap. I think if we put our minds collectively together and we just kind of focus on what we know, the reality, the real numbers, I think we can come up with a little bit better understanding than just randomly watching other people videos. So we'll be doing that. So you can expect at least 24 calls every single year. And it's not limited to only the companies that three of us are talking about. You guys are willing to, you guys are welcome to pitch your companies as well. Maybe we are not looking at something, you know. Um, uh, so anyhow, that's the idea. You guys can bring your questions. We'll be certainly be able to answer those for you as well. And then in addition to that, every member who joins the program going to go through an onboarding call with me, at least for now, in the beginning, because I don't want to outsource that to a third party. I want to really understand what your finances look like. I want to help you set up your goals. I want you to come up with your persona, you know, what your retirement looks like, the whole thing. We at least want to put it on paper. So that will be the onboarding call. Everybody will go through it. It may be 1 to 2 hours long for each person. So that will be very personalized in nature. In addition to that, I normally like to do what we call a comprehensive consultation. It usually is anywhere between 5 to 6 hours. Typically takes at least three phone calls or three Zoom calls, and I spread them over 1 year. So I kind of made that optional as part of this program, and I say this because if you have, if you have your 401k, if you have IRA, if you have kids, if you have education, if you have tax, or other stuff that you have going on in the life, usually during these comprehensive discussions call, I can typically find savings that can pay for the entire coaching program for the entire year. Okay. That might not happen for every one of them, but usually I can. That's why that program exists. So I kind of combine it with the coaching program, but some of you guys who don't really need that, and I can understand some of you guys maybe don't have that much finances going on and you don't really need that personalized touch, then you get $1,000 off on that program. So instead of $3,000 a year, it becomes $2,000 a year. And then obviously the goal is that we're going to launch it at the Wealth Summit. And hopefully by that time we can launch it for $5,000. Obviously, it depends on what you guys tell us at the end of the day, because you need to tell us what kind of value you are getting out of it. Every single call will be recorded, so you can watch it anytime you want. It will be a video call. You can obviously listen to it. You will have access to it. Uh, we ask that you don't share it with anybody else, because you can imagine it's not enough money to really financially compensate three of us. Okay. But the idea here is within next 2, 3 years, this group will become big enough that it will financially compensate us. So we seriously ask that whatever we discuss in these calls, that remains private. Obviously you're welcome to share it with your family members, but anybody outside of that, please ask them to join the program. Obviously, we may call on some emergency meetings. For example, when markets are making a massive shift, we might say, hey, you know what, we really need to jump on the call and kind of help people manage those emotions as to what's going to happen. For example, we've been seeing right now, right, for last 1 month, we are on a roller coaster ride. People cannot figure out, are we going up, we going down? Some people have been buying dips. Some people are just taking all their money out. How do you handle all those emotions? How do you put a strategy in place that you come out as a winner on either side, whether it goes this way or that way. So we'll certainly talk about that. And then obviously we'll also, it's just not just about numbers, but we also got to look at the understanding the company itself. So for example, Chitsa said, well, I bought XYZ company at the startup level. Well, over the years, he should have become an expert in that company because he's been holding it for so long. And so many times people invest, but they have no idea what they're investing in. They don't even know what that company does. They don't understand how their revenue work. They don't understand how the earnings work. So the idea is whatever companies we bring up, okay, me means all three of us decide to kind of follow along for the entire year. We are going to follow those companies and share those updates. How does the earnings looks like? What did the CEO said? What other reports are coming out? So anything that is relevant to that company, we will try to share that with you guys. So that way you guys become, you have more knowledge about that company than if you were to go about it by yourself. So I think I kind of give you guys a good information. I would open it up to Q&A and let you guys ask questions at this point. So all of you guys are unmute, so you're just, you guys can start talking.
Yes, hi Deepak. This is Tarun. How are you?
Very good, Tarun bhai. How are you?
All good, all good. Very nice program, I think so you guys came up with. I wrote down a few questions while you were talking. Number one, will you be giving any free trial like for a few months so just people can see if it's the right thing they're getting into? Because at the end of the day, it's
Very
hefty
good point.
price.
No, very good point, Tarun bhai. Actually, you bring up a most critical point. Okay. If you're serious about finance, okay, the only way you're going to learn is being consistent over a long period of time. In matter of fact, my advice to most people will be join the program and just hear us out for 1 year. Don't even make a move. I know most of you guys won't do that. You'll probably make a move anyway. Okay. But reality is you got to learn fast. And you cannot learn in a trial period. You got to put your money at risk because once you put your money at risk, you really start paying attention. And once you start paying attention, that's when you actually get to learn. If, for example, if you're looking for some free information, there are gazillions of YouTube videos out there. What do you need another video for? Anidya Bhai Chit, sir, you want to add something to that?
Yeah, so I think I told you the same thing when we discussed, right? So exactly the same question I had. So there are tons of videos outside on the YouTube. Why would anyone be joining this? I mean, even so, what if I think this is kind of more value for. So I probably start this way. So there are two ways in Wall Street how they use an investor's money today. One is when the investor give the money to that person, let's say Warren Buffett, and he goes and invests, and they're obviously aloof of what he's doing. Whatever the return comes, everyone gets a share, everyone is happy. That's one. The second part is where the investor is kind of bit savvy, knows what the technical and rest of the thing is, but he's probably not sure what to do at this point of time. So they call Wall Street analysts. Okay, they're not hedge fund guys. They're just analysts who will guide them, saying, okay, you know what, this probably is not a good thing to go in at this point and later on, right? So in that second way is where it's kind of a consultation, where um, uh, I mean that person is not obviously managing the money. That's a very big thing. There's no extra charges as well. But what advantage it brings in is in the first case, if you see the investor never learns, the investor just gives the money. Our target, obviously, I mean, I also have a WhatsApp group where I give my buys and sells, right? So there are people there, but th- not everybody is passionate and not everybody understands why it's happening at this time, right? So the idea is to not only tell or educate, is also groom you as well in the process so that you also get to learn all the tricks of the trade. That's it. So that can only be done on the option two front. In the option one front, if probably as we were running a hedge fund to take your money and do everything, you'll never be learning much about the market because it's a black box. Whereas in option two, you doing yourself, we are not at the driver's seat. We'll probably just be beside the driver's seat, trying to guide you. So that exactly thing is the YouTube person missing in this space. So when you're trying to do something, YouTube is a one-way traffic. You don't know, you have no contact with the other person. He's not able to answer your questions. I mean, he can probably if you put it in the comments, but that just gets lost in translation. So this is the same YouTube kind of information with that added value add where whatever questions you have, the idea is to groom yourself so that you become the next investor. I mean, kind of you do your own stuff down the line. Hopefully, Deepak ji was that clear? Or
Yeah, I mean, Tarun bhai, you are in petroleum business, right?
Correct.
Okay. So S&P 500, I think if I'm not wrong, for last 5 years is up maybe 100%, 120, maybe somewhere around that, maybe 150. Okay. There's another company in the petroleum business known as Murphy's. Are you familiar with them?
Very familiar with them.
right? Murphy's is actually very similar business model as yours. Obviously, I know your business, right? So they're very similar business model as you, okay? And they have consistently been growing pretty much ever since they were born. I think if you take a look at their 5-year history, they're probably up almost 400%. Okay. How do I know that? Because I understand their business. Okay. That's the kind of information you need. Now, think about it. That piece of information, now I just shared live with all of you guys. Now you can watch it. You can go study that company yourself. You can figure it all out and then come back to me 5 years later and tell me how Murphy is doing. It's not a NASDAQ store. They're not in technology. They're not into any of those sexy businesses out there. They're a petroleum company. They have these, um, old school shops, just the one that we all go to. They own the buildings, they own the land. They have a very unique strategy as to where they put their stores. Their stores are usually right next to Walmart. In matter of fact, I think 100 or 200 of them are on the Walmart property itself. Okay. That's the kind of information I'm talking about. Like you got to be able to understand the company. And the cool thing is you don't need a whole lot of companies. You don't need 100, 200 to become a good financial savvy person. You just need to understand enough businesses. Okay. Technically speaking, maybe not, probably in next 2, 3 months, we will have our portfolio built out. So think about it. If you somebody can join the program and in first meeting they know exactly what we're buying. If we do some sort of like a trial period, then they just simply leave the program and they're gone. All they found out is what companies we are invested in, and that's it. They didn't get any value out of it whatsoever. So anyhow, I'm not going to get into too much, but my advice for anybody who wants to learn, um, is put the money at the table, give it enough time to actually get some value out of it. Personally speaking, I spend well over $20,000 a year into coaching programs. Okay. And I do that every year. That means I did that last year. I did it this year. I'm going to do it next year as well. Okay. I also subscribe to a lot of tools. My tools alone cost me $200-300 a month. And I'm sure Chit Sir does it. Anidya probably does it. So we have all of that information that if you were to go buy all of that information, buy all of those tools yourself, you're probably going to end up spending a lot of money anyway. So obviously, we'll be able to share that information with you guys as well. And most importantly, time saving, right? Who has time to go through all that information? In a smaller group, you don't have to spend too much time. You just show up once every 2 weeks and do it consistently. 1 year down the road, if you are even 10% better than what you were today, I think you got 10x ROI on whatever you invested into coaching program. All right. Anybody else?
Yes.
Or you, Tarun, you have other questions too, right?
Yeah, I have 4 questions total, but I'll go very quickly on them. Will you also be teaching and discussing option strategies in these talks?
I'm not me personally, I'm not an options guys, but I know Anidya does quite a bit of options. Anidya, what's your take on that? You want to discuss options as well? I know sometimes I use them. I mean, but I don't do a whole lot of options.
For options, I think cheat sell is the best. So no, my kind of options is pretty. I don't do day-to-day trading. I mean, I used to. My kind of options are different. Like for example, uh, post-election, I took puts, long-dated puts, which is expiring this December or October because I was seeing a downturn. So that kind of option I do. It's kind of a more long-dated. The premium is more. I don't do day-to-day trading. But the 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 thing about option is. I mean, this is from my experience from both option and investing. I think what we wanted to come up with was more an investor program. Um, you can do option trade. There are guys who can really do well on a day-to-day basis because these are obviously Greeks, right? So you depend on all the Greeks and data. But over the long period, when we went to invest and all that kind of horizon, they may have, may not have. So ours is more of an investor thing. If you opt, because option is a totally different beast than investment. It's like two different notions. They're not same. The methodology, the mind that goes behind option is not same as investment.
Yeah. And other thing I'll add to that, I have people approach me who run a successful options groups. forex groups and even commodity groups, and they have asked, "Hey, can we come and do the presentation?" So if I feel enough people have an interest in those kind of products, then I will be certainly to reach out to these other experts outside of our core group and bring them in to kind of maybe do specialized coaching classes if we have enough interest in the group. So I'm open to that idea, but that's not our core strategy.
Deepak, I
Yes,
just
sir.
wanted to add here. I'm fairly sort of an expert in option strategies. I fully concede to what Anindya said because this is an investment group. But like what Deepak ji said, if there is sufficient interest, I can guide you through the entire process. As you all know, I even committed to conducting an options class for the general group. We can do it within this coaching group, but I can also tell you, I'm not, it's always better that you focus on investment. But if you were to, and if there is sufficient interest in the options, I can clearly tell you option strategies within the 12 months, you will easily make this 2,000 or 3,000 fees that you're paying to us. Much more than that, you'll easily make up. I wouldn't guarantee you that, but like we said, this was investment. You want to look at it long term. Deepak ji was talking about Murphy Oil, which is like we're talking about 5, 6 years. But let's see how the interest goes, Tarun Bhai. And yes, I can educate you a whole lot on what options to buy and how do you trade with it. Absolutely no problem. I have about 25 years experience in that.
Okay, very well. Next quick question. Will you guys also be dealing with commodities like gold, silver, some other type of commodities by chance? Or only stocks?
Yeah, so I do use commodities, but I only use commodities for hedging my investment. That's about it. I don't really actively pursue them, but I do know people who are like really into commodities. So once again, same thing, just like options. If I see enough interest, then maybe we bring on those experts into the group for specialized kind of classes. But I know Anidya does some commodities, right, Anidya?
Yeah. So yeah, I do from time to time. So that's a very good question on commodities because this is the only sector of the market um, which is has not done great for a long period of time, like probably since GFC time frame, right? But probably in going 7, 10 years, commodity is going to be the big thing. I also feel like, but the trick part of the commodity is just like ETF. When all the stocks go up, the ETF goes up. So commodity is just the basket of commodities. So it doesn't mean that if gold goes up, silver will go up. So there are different commodities. You could have copper going up, whereas gold going down. You could have, I mean, agricultural commodities going up, the rest going down, oil going down, right? So which part, as a basket of commodity, is very tough to trade because it's a no sum game. And that's what I understood. It's a zero sum game. It is only specific part of the commodity market where which you're interested. You can buy ETFs of those. That too, I don't do commodity trading. I just buy those ETFs of those commodities that I feel would go up. But commodity market trading itself is a totally different thing. Like options investment, there's a commodity trading. That no, I don't do that. That is totally different beast, and that requires not only a lot of money, it requires a lot of,
No.
I would say, bravery because commodities is a very different beast. It's not like an S&P where okay, it's a downturn and it'll pick up in 2 years. No,
So,
yeah, it's very different.
Anidya, bhai, let me add something to it. Do you know how these people who are experts in commodities, how they work? They
Yes,
they hire PhDs, right? Who
yeah, yeah,
understand that commodity like to nitty gritty. Like they know what kind of soil will produce good cocoa. What are the weather conditions, where the wind is going, what kind of water is there, how does the supply
yeah,
chain looks like, how does the demand look like? I mean, that's like if you want to really learn that, I don't think you should be learning that from us. I mean, you're talking about a multi-million dollar coaching program because those people have such a high payroll to be able to do that
yeah, yeah,
successfully.
yeah. because I forgot the name. I can give it later in the group. So there's one person who runs a commodity. Just he does only commodities. He has outperformed S&P, Nasdaq, everybody year over year, even during GFC. So that kind of, I mean, it's a totally different traders game. It's those. By the way, those guys also don't do options and investment. For them, commodities is what they do. For us, which we want to do everything, obviously, commodities is, if you want to really do commodities, means you'll be investing in wheat or time to time barley, copper, and all those. That is, I don't think anybody will get that easily. I mean, it's a very niche thing. Even in Wall Street, not many are commodity traders. By commodities, people usually mean is if you feel like, okay, precious metals are gonna go up, you buy the ETF. That kind of commodities, which is not exactly commodities, but yeah, you are buying something which you feel will go up, like copper goes up or something goes up based on that. And there are ETFs for those commodities.
Yeah, and Tarun bhai, if I may add, I think everybody should look at and kind of figure out, are they already good at understanding business first? Because if you're not really good at that part, then I would not even play around in so many different fields. I'll just start with learning businesses. Like, for example, you're in oil sector. You got to be able to understand Murphy in and out. You got to be able to read their financial statement, their cash flow, their P&L. You got to be able to understand where their properties are, why are they successful. You got to go know A to Z. Once you know that, then you move on to something else. And I pick Murphy because that's the business you are in, right? But my point is, wherever we are investing, we need to start with that sector and be really good at that, and then exploring other things.
Okay, good.
All right. Any other questions?
No, not from my side at the moment.
Okay.
Uh,
Anybody else? Well,
Yes,
everybody
I
should be able
have.
to.
This is Srini. I have a question.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned saying that if you're instead of the $3,000 program, there might be $1,000 program. I didn't get that properly. Can you?
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, so normally what I like to do is most people
Mhm.
um, have um, how can I say it? Most people have opportunities in their finances.
Mhm.
Maybe from a tax point of view, maybe from 401k, from an IRA, from HSA, from kids, all kind of different places where our money is. So when people come to me, I'm able to look at all that and say, look, here's your $5,000 savings. Just go do this, right?
Mhm.
Now, some of you guys might say, well, I don't really need that. I just focus on this part only. I don't need that extra help there. So if you don't
Okay.
need that, no problem, because that's very personalized. I spend, 2, 3 different meetings with you. Each meeting might be 2 hours long. So I'm spending 6 to 8 hours with you. So if you don't need that, then we cut that out for you and we give you $1,000 discount on it. So it just becomes a $2,000 per year program for you.
Okay. Okay. Understood.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Come on, guys. I'm pretty sure you guys have a lot of good
Uh,
questions. Please go ahead.
this is Jayesh. Since this is a financial coaching, like education, would you guys cover how to read the financial statements,
Yeah,
income statement, revenue, not in a detail, but at least a user needs to be able to
you got to.
understand.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. That would be one of the things very important because if you can't talk the language of finance, you cannot, well, I guess you can invest, but you cannot invest with a conviction. So certainly we're going to be talking about all that. Like Anadya very well said, right? Our goal is 1 year down the road, you should be able to go do all of these things on your own successfully. However, most of you will probably find so much value in the program that you will stay with us for the rest of your life because you will find out that when we stay in a group, we get so much I mean, why do I spend $20,000 a year on coaching? Right? I already know all the stuff. I mean, I already know my tax. I know financial statements. I know businesses. Why? Because one piece of information that I get from somebody, I share it with somebody else, and I got myself a lifetime of a client. So I think most of you guys will find the similar value. You will never leave us once you're in. All right, guys, it's open mic. Anybody can speak up. Just
So Deepak, this is Mickey here.
Jim, yes, sir.
I mean, is there an option where I don't have any time? All I want is to look at your portfolio that you guys are going to create and just replicate my portfolio. Is there an option there? And then when you talk about your portfolio, how large of a portfolio you guys are gonna pool, Deepak?
I think it's going to grow slowly. I mean, you will see. I mean, I don't want to commit to any number, but you will see it will grow relatively fast. I mean, I think 2 years down the road, you'll be quite surprised how big that will become. I mean, I have faith in all the people involved in the group, so I'm not going to put the number on it because I
But
don't want
any
to.
starting point?
We probably going to start out maybe about $10,000. Hopefully next month. That's what we're thinking.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
Any
then
plan for people who just want to, use the WhatsApp where you will post your messages or show your portfolio and then just replicate and don't use the other services?
yeah, we don't recommend it. You certainly can. I mean, you don't, obviously all of this information will be available to you, and you can choose not to consume any of the other content and just follow that along. Um, but we don't recommend that. I mean, I think you should
Okay.
really understand the business and got to be able to make your own calls. So, I mean, I don't know. Aditya, Chitser, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Chicha, go ahead. I'll probably go later.
all right. Sorry, go ahead, India. No problem.
Yeah, so what I was saying is, yeah, so if you just want to know what we invest in, that's a quick thing. Uh, but so as I said, I have a WhatsApp group where I just put my buys and sells, right? So people have made money over the past 2 3 years. Now the difference there is they're still dependent on me saying, okay, what's the next buy or what's the next sell or when I'm gonna sell. So they're not learning. Or I mean, obviously some are, but our idea is to I would say like when I started doing this investing thing, I didn't have that handling. So I had to gather all those bits and scripts and try to figure out the trick of the game. So core target is to actually you do it yourself once you do over a period of time. Because if you start replicating our portfolios, you can do that. It's kind of an ETF, but that's not kind of. I mean, it could well be at some point when you understand the market well. It could be that you probably have a better judgment on a stock where we might be wrong. Right? I mean, it could be. I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's a thing. So we just want to sharpen that intellect on the market side of each of the person. But that also needs one thing from the other person, which I've already seen and felt like over the years. It needs a bit of a passion. I would say more of a passion. Interest, yeah, interest will be there initially and then dry off and go but if the person is passionate about market and he just needs kind of a trick how to do all those things, then it'll gel well for him. It's kind of a resonance. So, but if you just want to replicate what the portfolio is, that's kind of an ETF that yeah, I mean, but that will not be much for your benefit over a period of time.
Yeah. And the other thing is, I think legally that might be problematic for us as well. I think what you're really saying is, hey, instead of charging $2,000 a year, can you charge me just $1,000 a year and just tell me what you're doing? I think that's what your question is, right? Um, uh, I'm sorry. Sorry. Um, if that's what the question is, the problem is that may come across as like an investment advice, and that can be like of a problem as well. So I think the idea should be you should understand our thesis and then come up with your own thesis, like whether you agree with it or disagree with it, and make your own decision. So that's my take. But you're certainly welcome to not do any of it and just take the portfolio. I mean, that's your choice. All right,
No, I
guys.
I I, I I give a quick example to understand what the point is. So, for example, there was one of my friend who was about to put 25 grand on ChargePoint probably a couple of years back, right? So he told me, I have 25 grand, I'm going to put on ChargePoint. What do you think? So I told him, no, I don't think it's going to fly off. And then, I mean, it's too early to put 25,000 on something, even though it's probably going to go up or you have to boost. I'd rather take part of that money and put it in Palantir now, or not ChargePoint, right? Now, what happens is when you have those discussions, if you didn't have the discussion, you would just put 25,000 and lose everything. And today's ChargePoint is like below, it's in cents, below dollar. But when you have that kind of a discussion, which kind of a more brainstorms you on the whole market news. So you're actually stopping and saying, hold on, I'll probably not give 25,000. Let me just try with 2,500. So you just saved yourself 22,500. And rather you would diversify it into Palantir, you might probably gained it, right? So that's kind of a thing which I feel people normally, I mean, I've seen a lot of people, they just put money, they have money, they think this will go up, but they don't know why this will go up or why this could go down. They can't give two, three reasons why this should go up or why this should go down in over a period of it. So that is what probably we can help.
Actually, there is hundreds of investment advisor services. Every month you give them $200 or something, they'll send you a text message saying, buy this, sell this, but you cannot ask questions, you cannot interact with them. The biggest thing we bring you to the table, you have a coach to which you can one-on-one dialogue in a meeting where you can ask questions. Number one. Number two is we help you stand on your own feet so you understand why we got in, why we entered, why we exited. So that is the big part of this program.
And just to add on the market part, analysts, when they recommend stocks, like buy this, sell this, that are like buy side analysts, sell side analysts, a lot of them, they get money for doing that. Or they actually have the interest, invested interest, because they have invested or their partners or spouses have invested on this, right? So they have to give those disclaimers. For us, it's like, okay, plain vanilla. I mean, it's not like it will be like he's gonna pay us anything. It's just what we are doing. We're just gonna tell you what we think, our mindset, how is it, so that you get the room of it.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks all.
All right, guys, open for question. Anyone, please. This is very good. So we're gonna be learning from you guys just as much as you will be learning from us, because by the
So
time,
one,
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, one question from my side. How do we make sure that you guys are giving the right advice? Frankly, I have burned my money with taking kind of not classes like similar tips, etc. And those have gone down. Like you're saying, Murphy gone up, and now it is quite down. So how can we make sure that we sell a top, not a top, but at least something. It is down 1 year 45%. I see.
Okay.
So yeah, just want
So
to understand that.
so funny thing is, you say Murphy is down, but in reality, it's not. So to understand that, you got to be able to read the financial statements. So you think it's down, but it's not. So anyhow, that's a topic for another day. We can certainly talk about that. In matter of fact, if I was an investor for Murphy, I would love it if it goes down by another $100 or $200. Every time that stock goes down, it's really good for Murphy's investors. So again, that's a topic for another discussion call. But I'll talk about what you said earlier. How do I know if you're giving a right advice? Number one, there is no advice. So this group is not an advising group. There is no advice whatsoever. So please, if you're looking for advice, this is not your place. What we are talking about is understanding the business, understanding the fundamentals, understanding the technicals. And the idea, the way you want to look at it is your financial knowledge getting better than what it was 6 months ago, a year ago? If you can improve that even by 10% every single year, trust me, 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, you'll be a super investor yourself. You don't need no advice from anybody else. You don't need no training from anybody else. The idea is whatever you learn from the group, and I learn from Aditya all the time. I learn from Chitsar all the time. I learn from many other people on the group. You guys say something, and then I go check whether that makes sense or not. And once, for example, you bring up Murphy's example, you bring that up and you learn what am I talking about. Now you go like, oh my God. Now all of a sudden your perspective behind Murphy will completely change. All of a sudden you'll be like, this is a wonderful company I want to buy. But you got to be able to understand why.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Thank you, Deepak. Just one more question. Like Nvidia came to 153 times. I was about to sell, but never sold it, and still I have that with me. I keep on saying that now it is going down, and sometimes people say, "Oh, now it'll go to 90, it'll go to 80 or whatever," and then sometimes you think, "Okay, why did not I sell at the right time?
mhm.
I may have bought it at a lower cost." So what were your thinking? Now, three of you, did you do anything, or you just kept?
Yeah. So I'll talk about me and then
Yeah.
I'll let other people add to it.
Yes.
I did own NVIDIA. I did sell it at 150. Okay. Um, but the question here is just because I sell it doesn't mean you should sell it. Okay. You and me have a completely different profile. You and me have a complete different portfolio. You and me have a complete different risk tolerance. For example, when you sell something, what are you going to do with the money? You're going to buy something else, right? Or are you going to let it sit in the bank account? So you got to have an alternative. You took the money out. What did you do with it? I sold it because I was fearful of a market. I think I want to save some cash on the side. So when the market dips, I have enough money to buy it. And I figured out, I did the calculations on NVIDIA on that day, and I even shared it with you. I looked at it and I'm like, well, NVIDIA is worth about $90 on that day. Uh, and the stock was trading at 150. So I'm like, okay, I got free $60 on this trade. Let me take that because if market goes down, it is going to go back to around $100. That was my thesis. And I don't mean to brag, but that's exactly what happened. When the market dropped, it went back to $100. Did I buy back? No, because I wanted to save that money on the side to buy something else when the market dips. So again, that's my way of thinking. Each investor will have their own thesis. So just because somebody's doing something doesn't mean you should copy it. And that's what I meant by sentiments. Like you got to be able to understand and manage your own sentiments. Anidya Chitsar, I think you guys own NVIDIA too, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
If let me give you a technical angle here. Um, there was some tax selling was going on towards the end of the year. While I'm talking to you guys, I'm looking at the chart. NVIDIA made one, two, three, four, 5 times it tried to cross 150 and it never did. Now that becomes a formidable resistance. In technical analysis, it's called formidable resistance. So if let me give you 2 points. If somebody wanted to take profit, 145 to 150 would have been an excellent price. And if, as part of this coaching, if you want us to educate you, but remember, we're not telling you any advice. We're only saying this is what we think it is, right? But here's a surprise I have for you. I'm a semiconductor person. I fully understand Blackwell. I worked in some of these technologies. If, you know,
Chitsar,
NVIDIA as a company, there is a reasonable chance it'll go back to hit that 145, 150 level again. I've already given you another piece that I would have normally given for a cost, but there is a fairly good chance that it'll go back to hit 145, 150. I do not know when, but it'll soon do that. Why? There's very little competition near about where they are. So I leave it at that.
Right, Deepak, I have two questions. Question number one is, how do we access this information? Say, even though I know you guys will provide the recording, but say if I want to see right now, middle of the night or early morning, what your portfolio looks like, what you're trading, what you bought, what you sold, is there like a web portal that you have where we can go access this information, all the recordings, previous recordings and all that, or?
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to create some sort of online system where you will have all the live trades, all the recordings, all of that stuff will be available 24 by 7.
Okay, all right. Second thing, if we want to participate, I know you said you were going to start with a $10,000 portfolio. Say if we want to participate in that and say if I bring in 5 grand too, is there an opportunity for that to be a equity holder on that portfolio?
Yeah, so we get that pitched a lot. The problem with that is this. The more people's money we start taking, more it start to more look like a hedge fund, okay, which we're trying to avoid. So we don't do too many trades. I mean, I don't really certainly don't do that many trades. Our goal is not to do multiple trades, and that's one of the problem with a lot of different people. They're just like in and out of market a lot. We're gonna try to avoid that. We're going to try to minimize it. Look, let's see, for example, people get really panicky about $1 or $2 or $5, $10. If you buy a good company, it makes no difference whether you buy it today, you buy it next week, you buy it 10 days later, a month later. If you pay 10 bucks extra, 20 bucks extra, if it's a good company, it's going to make no difference, right? So the idea here is you should be able to execute these strategies on your own. There is no reason for you to give us your money, right? We get pitched at a lot. All the time, but I think that's a very risky proposition. So we're going to stick with a coaching model. Maybe one day we we end up making it a hedge fund, but who knows? But that's like way far away in the future. Certainly no plan today.
Okay, got it.
I have a couple of questions. I wasn't able to join at the beginning of the session. Kind of caught the last 5-10 minutes of the discussion. Trying to connect the dots of what this exactly is about. Would you be sharing the recording of this so I can better understand what proposition?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll definitely record, but I'll give you just a quick overview. I think many other people might have joined since then. Very
Appreciate that.
yeah, so very simple program. Idea is not to give you like any kind of investment advice or stock picking tips or anything like that. That's not the purpose here. The purpose here is to really build a good financial foundation. That means a year down the road, you're able to do everything on your own without anybody's help. Okay. However, our our hope is that anybody who joins the program will most likely never leave, because even though they will know everything, they are going to soon learn the importance of being in a right group. I certainly did. I mean, I'm part of multiple groups. I pay a lot of money in coaching. I find enormous value in them. Like the first time I paid $10,000 for a coaching program, I lost it all. It was garbage. There was no coaching there. It was like completely garbage. Then I got into another group that was $1,000 sign up and then $300 a month. That was waste of time. Then somebody else pitched something with Forex. That was wasted. So I have wasted enough money of with different programs. And I'm like, okay, this got to be garbage. But then I met with somebody who was very genuine, very reasonably priced. It was not that expensive. I joined that. I'm like, oh my God, this guy is really teaching nice stuff. That worked out very well. Then he introduced me to other groups. Then he introduced me to other groups. Right now, I'm working on a group in Austin. Um, I don't. I hope I can get there one day. The sign up fees for that group is $100,000. Okay, and if I'm able to become that successful, I'll happily pay that fees. So there is a value. So I guess what I'm trying to say is some of you guys might be wondering if you're going to get any value out of it or not. I mean, I certainly don't know, because I think you have to be involved to get the value out of it. But I can tell you from my experience, because I have burnt a lot of money myself, I'm going to do my best to ensure that we deliver a lot of value. And once you see that, you would never want to leave this group. Now, what are we doing in the group? Uh, Number one is we are going to put our own money, three of us, me, Anidya, and Chid. We're gonna create a fund, three of us, and we are going to show you exactly what we're buying, what we're selling, why are we buying, why are we selling, when we are buying, when we are selling. We're going to discuss it all with you guys on a daily basis, so you'll have access to all of that stuff. Most importantly, our goal is not to do too many transactions, because I think then a lot of people can't follow and they cannot get a lot of value out of it. So we're going to do minimum amount of transactions as possible. I am going to be in charge of about 10 to 15 companies. Anidya will be same thing, and Chitsar will be the same thing. So altogether, you can expect us to focus on 30 to 50 companies. But we're not going to invest in all 30 to 50 companies. We might invest in 10 or 20 companies where we have the highest conviction. So, but you will have access to that. So I'll give you an example. Some of you guys maybe are approaching retirement, and maybe you're looking for a little bit more stable kind of companies. So maybe you don't follow our portfolio, because we are more of a growth kind of a portfolio. So, but those companies will be there. So if you want those, you make your own salad out of those stable companies. Some of you guys looking for a lot of growth because you're very young. Maybe you go with the growth companies. Some of you guys are a little bit more risk taker. You're looking for some of those speculative bets. Some of those will be there as well. So you kind of built your own portfolio out of that. Or if you want to just follow along what we are doing, you're welcome to do that as well. We plan on doing at least 24 sessions per year. It will be every 2 weeks. Each call will be roughly 1 to 2 hours. We will talk about whatever we need to discuss about a company, but then we also going to spend about 1 hour on Q&A. So in that 1 hour Q&A, you guys can bring up your companies. You can ask about technicals. You can ask about fundamentals, my valuation, if you want me to look into it. So you will have access to all of that. If there is a fundamental shift in the market, something is changing or whatnot, and we need to call an emergency meeting, we'll certainly do that, and we'll share all of that information with you as well. As far as pricing is concerned, I price it as $3,000 per year. This includes, personalized coaching session with me, at least 2 to 3 sessions. Each session is usually about 2 hours long. And my goal in those sessions is to be able to find you savings worth at least $3,000, typically within the first or second session itself. Okay. Some of you guys might say, hey, I don't need that session. Okay. I just want to focus on the financial part. That's okay. If you don't need that session, we'll give you $1,000 off the programs. For you, it will be only $2,000. Within the $2,000, you will still get an onboarding call with me. So I'll still start you on a right foot. We'll take a look at what kind of investor you are, what kind of goals you have, what kind of investments you're doing. So we'll come up with like a program that is good for you, really trying to help you understand yourself even better. And then you're into the program. You simply join the calls every 2 weeks and get better. You have recording if you can't join the call. And then if you want to just follow our portfolio, you're welcome to do that as well. And you maybe go back and watch the recording later on where Chid talk about his experience and Aditya talk about his experience as well. So you kind of get a comprehensive view. So it's not just like me talking. It's three of us, and we're sharing what exactly we are doing with our financial as well. So hopefully that kind of
Deepak,
gives you
thank you for the comprehensive overview. Really appreciate that going over it.
no problem, sir.
If I can kind of drill down on the first part of the question, talking about coaching,
Uh-huh.
I totally agree with you that at the end of the day, the right knowledge is invaluable, right? There's plenty of knowledge out there with the right valuable, and I think what you guys are trying to do is teaching us how to fish rather than just giving a fish to us,
Exactly.
right? Yeah,
Exactly.
that's what we're trying to do. Uh, I have I have a background in finance as well. So what I'm trying to understand is when you say about coaching, obviously I heard the word technical and I heard the fundamentals. Is the intent about how you go about looking at a company's financials, reading their balance sheet, cash flow statements, and then basically try to looking at the footnotes and then looking at the market projections and the industry projections, how the company is placed. Is that one part of the overall landscape, how you view it? And obviously multiple valuation techniques are there or models are there. Is that what you're going to cover along with the technical aspect uh, or technical analysis, right? That's also goes hand in hand in certain times, especially if you're more on the trading side rather than a long-term investor side. Is that the gist of what you're trying to coach us, and then giving us the like you said, focusing on 30 to 50 companies and providing your thesis why one versus the other and how you are viewing it?
Yeah. So very good question. See, because you're from a finance world, you're saying all the right things. But most people are probably not from the finance world. So if we start going into those nitty-gritty details of financial statements, I think 90% of the people will get bored and they will
Yep.
like, this tell me the end story. I don't want to
Yes.
know all that
Tell
stuff,
me,
right?
should I buy or not?
Right. So no, we probably not going to go into that uh, depth, right? But we are certainly going to highlight some of the important things that you can quickly look from a financial point of view, and then kind of move on. And then obviously, there's always a right time to buy something, right time to sell it. So that's where Chitser comes in from a technical point of view, and he can take a look at the volumes, he can take a look at the channel, and kind of guide us along. And then I don't know if you know Anidya, but Anidya has a huge success track record. Uh,
Mhm.
and I don't know what his forte is, but from what I can tell, from as much as I know, I mean, I don't follow his portfolio, so I never seen what he buys or sells, but I certainly have followed his knowledge, whatever he shared with us in the last several years. I mean, the guy is able to make connections like nobody else I know. You know, um, Funny thing is, all three of us many times have arrived at the same conclusion, but from a different point of
But
view.
from different perspectives, right? You're triangulating it, right? And if all three of you are there, then it gives you even more conviction,
Exactly.
right?
Uh, so anyhow, that's
Okay.
the idea. I mean, we're not gonna overcomplicate things. We're gonna try to keep it as simple as possible, so average person can understand it.
Okay. Second question. Can you share your track record in terms of annualized return over the last 5 or 10 years?
We talked about that. Matter of fact, we were talking about that um, before we even started the meeting today, right? I think, for example, and um, I mean, Anindya has a better record than me, um, but the thing is, do I really want people to enroll in this because of our past performance? I keep thinking that that would kind of sound like a marketing trick that, hey, look, I have done this, and I can show you how you can do this. You know, in in a finance and world, I think that can be um, problematic. I don't think that's the reason why you should join. Although we all talked about our background, you can go watch that video earlier and hear about it. But I don't think that's the reason you should come in. I think the way I would probably say it's because you're from finance world. Let's just say you don't need the other help. You just get into the coaching program. It's $2,000 a year. The most you are going to lose is $2,000. That's the maximum loss. But if this program is of any value to you, then the probability of you making money, I can't even put a dollar on it. So I think
No, I
it's
get it. It's a limited downside and unlimited potential, right? It's a call option, I think it is.
exactly. Anidya or Chitser, do you want to add something to it? I want to make sure, I don't want to open up to any legal problems. I'm just trying to be careful here.
Yeah,
Yeah, so yeah,
go
go
ahead,
ahead,
go ahead.
Deepak.
Go ahead,
No, no, go
Anindya.
ahead. That's fine. Go ahead.
Actually, we very well know that every time you get into an investment, anything, they will always tell you the past performance is no guarantee of future. And so relying on our past is not the way to go, past portfolios. But relying on our knowledge is a big factor. And I think the focus should be on that and not on the model portfolio and on what advice you're giving him. We want to give you a backbone, knowledge based coaching that will stay with you forever. Zanindya, your turn.
Yeah, so I wanted to tell on two part. One was for somebody asked on NVIDIA and obviously this asked on the portfolio. Yeah, I can share my portfolio returns over. I think I have 5 years. So the 10 years where I don't have is I was with Scott Trade that got acquired by TD Limited and TD Limited got acquired by Charge Firm and I lost all the data, right? So I have to probably accumulate everything in one and go. But I can definitely show the Fidelity IRA that I have even near to the returns, which I'm obviously beating market. That's not a problem. I mean, whoever wants, I cannot give it in the group. Whoever wants to see it, you can unicast me. I can show it. But the bigger picture is, yeah, as I said, it's everyone knows this past performance is not indicative of future returns, right? But at least from my perspective, the core thing is what exactly um, you can get the juice out of the market where others could be missing. For example, somebody mentioned Nvidia because they bought at 150 and then obviously it's panicking going to 110. So if you had seen our group probably sometime in 2023, I was one of the early ones who said Nvidia is going to go way high, right? And obviously there were doubters at the point of time. I mean, even my friends and nobody bought it. But when by the time they bought at 1200 and they're stuck, right? So there's always a lag because the conviction always runs in a lag, right? So those are the things I want to. So what my perspective, if I have to really give to the retail friends and everyone is just dive in the water. Don't be afraid of it. I mean, people didn't buy a stock at $200, but they're buying at $1,500. That's the mistake they're doing. That's what I'm trying to address. It's not which stock to buy. I mean, obviously, when to figure out the top and bottom, nobody can. Even if you're lucky, you'll be probably lucky a few of the times, not all of the times. But most importantly is where to stick with the basic. If something is bullish is because that it's not because it just went up 25% post earnings. So I cannot buy. It's too high. You have to buy because it's super bullish. That 200 can actually go to 2000. Right? So that perspective, and obviously the reverse also happened when Nvidia was probably people were saying go to 200 and all. I said no, I don't think it will go to 200. It'll top out probably at this point at 150, the formidable range that so said, and then it will probably go down before it actually crosses 150. It will eventually, but not now. So that kind of perspective is what I mean, more of a qualitative thing. Now, will it work for all stocks? Maybe. Why it won't work? Because it's the market is the prices that are moved. It depends on the rest of the investors that are buying as well. Right? But will it work for most of the stocks? Yes. Will it work for uh, and many people buy stocks because their friends have said, okay, buy quantum scale without even figuring out why they need quantum scale. Or the people I see are going buying quantum stocks and the rest of the other things. So where we can help is obviously cut your losses, figure out okay, maybe this may not work, kind of as a discussion. But more importantly, where you actually should go in and you have that innovation that okay, no, I probably am doubting this. To break your doubt, probably you could get in, or when you have to sell. If you, I mean, I know cheap service is more of a okay. If you're long term, just stay put. I am more of the other way. If market is going down, you go down, sell, and re-enter at some level. You will not get, I mean, obviously all the bottoms and tops every time, but at least it will not be that bad if you're stuck. And because there will be years where you might have no returns at all. Your money is stuck. Right? So those kind of things you can definitely help. And I think a lot of these discussions also happen in the group from 2021. Uh, and many people, uh, and obviously, as I said, there's a lag, right? So many people don't initially feel, okay, this is the right advice, but by the time they figure out, oh, yeah, I should have bought it 1 year back, they were already, it's at a top. So those kind of things where it will be more fruitful to figure out when to get in, when to get out, based on our discussions that we do. And obviously, if you need whoever needs the return, you can ping me. I can share my 5 year IRA returns that I have because the problem with Charles Schwab is it's just 2 years because they just did it 2022, I guess, or
Uh,
2022 or 2023.
Anidya bhai, if you do that, the only thing you're going to accomplish is make me feel stupid. That's about it.
No, no, if anyone wants to. I mean, I typically share with my close friends and family, whoever I'm sharing. And by the way, okay, I probably do the other way around. I have the other buy sell group where bought and stocks with all the dates and when I sold. I can share that. I mean, that kind of a perspective, okay, how my thought process is, where I buy, when I sell, that kind of a thing. But yeah, if anybody, I mean, it's okay if anybody is doubting based on whether we ourselves did charity to our house before we are preaching to the choir. Yeah, that's a fair ask. I mean, I have no problem showing mine. I think I mistakenly already put it in the investment group once.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's up to you. And the rest of you, Chit sir and Deepak, yeah, if you think we should, then I'm okay. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Me, I'm always on a conservative side, guys. So no matter whenever you ask questions like that, I'm going to be always on a fence that, hey, I don't want to cross any boundary or try to promise something or somehow give you a hint that you should join a coaching program because of some past performance. I certainly don't want to do that, right? Um,
So,
if
so,
an
so, so, so Deepak, the intent of the question is like, that's why when I ask this, right? Because at the end of the day, investing, there are multiple ways of approaching investing, right? I mean, some are traders, some are long term. You can do a sector investing, you can do an ETF, or you can do a single stock person. There's so many ways, and you can still come out ahead, right? But over the long run, I'm talking personally from my side. It's more about the long run, right? I'm not a trader, right? We know we can get a high single digits or low double digits depending upon time horizon in the past. That's what the US stock market has given us. So the intention is to beat the market while maintaining or by the same amount of risk or less risk, right? That's what we try to generate the alpha over here at the end of the day. Otherwise, we can just invest in an ETF, shut it long term. If you have that horizon, if you're not close to retirement, you will still have, with the power of compounding behind you, you will be still better than off, like I would say, 80% of the active investors. That's the reason I was trying to understand is over the long term, because there are certain choice points that you make, right? When are you entering, when you're anticipating the market to turn, And if you get out of that and then you're getting in, and even though you're investing in the index fund, you will be supercharging your return. So that was the intent behind the question, is to understand how you guys have done that, right? Don't need to, I don't need to see, or I'm not asking for an individual, right? Because at the end of the day, uh, I personally see value because I joined the WhatsApp group probably maybe 3 or 4 months ago, and I've been looking at it. There's such a invaluable amount of information that you guys share. Sometimes it can become overwhelming, but I'm still learning from all of you. So I'm what I want to see is at the end of the day, the proof lies in the pudding. How have you utilized your knowledge to supercharge your returns?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
fair.
think that's a great point, especially on the ETF side, right? So as I said, I tell my friends, if you just don't want to invest in stocks, just stay with the ETF. But the advantage with the ETF and the disadvantage with the ETF is this isn't because 10%, your ETF will go 10% because it's just a mirror copy, right? It's not copying anything else. It's a mirror copy. Who triple Q is for Nasdaq 100, rest of it. So whatever gain they do in a year, that's your gain. That's the ETF, right? Passive ETFs. The disadvantage is when actually there is, and it's an abstraction, right? There's a lot of individual companies behind that ETF. So when one of such companies do humongous gain, you're not getting that gain. Like for example, Nvidia is sitting behind triple Q, but you're not getting Nvidia gains in putting in triple Q. So this would work well when if you just want to be doing not individual stocks, then ETF is the best, right? And everybody just do ETFs and be done. But if you want to have a knack for individual stocks, and then also along with the ETFs, that's an added advantage. And that's the part. I mean, for example, I can definitely say for my portfolio, whatever Nasdaq 100 has returned, mine is kind of a nearly double portfolio over 5 years of what Nasdaq 100 has returned. Now that I cannot achieve if I do ETF. That has to be through individual stocks, right? So if I tell people, if you can beat the index, go individual stocks. If you cannot beat the index, stay with ETFs. If you can do both or kind of mix up both returns, you can have a mix of both returns. I mean, many Wall Street analysts just invest in ETF. They just go in and get out at the right time, and they make money.
And
And yeah,
the other thing I'll add, just a quick pointer. I know we're running a little late. Maybe we should a couple of questions, but you mentioned something very interesting earlier. You said, "Hey, what kind of risk are you taking?" Right? There are so many different ways. To me, risk is such a variable kind of a metric. Like, for example, Anidya might say, "Go, I'm gonna go buy this company." And from his point of view, risk is like very minimum because he has so much knowledge about that particular industry or that company or whichever angle he's looking at. And because I don't understand that business, to me that looks very risky. Like for example, we were talking about Murphy earlier, and somebody says, "Oh, you talk about Murphy, and look how is it doing right now? It's down." From his point of view, it's very risky. The company is dying. From my point of view, this is the best time to buy, and the company is actually growing, because I have the information that he doesn't have. So I think that's what I would say. I think that's where we want to add value, providing more information.
Okay, Deepak ji, I have a different question. So, is this only related to stocks, or is in this discussion you will be talking about real estate investments and stuff like that, or that has nothing to do with this?
I mean, right now we're mostly focused on buy and hold kind of strategy.
Okay.
But some people ask about earlier about options. People ask about commodity. Somebody
Mhm.
have asked me about forex before. Somebody asked me for real estate. I think as this because it depends on the size of the group, right? If we start talking about 50 different things, then the focus will start to go away. So as the group grows, then maybe we start to subdivide and bring in more expert in certain fields and start talking about other things. But to
Okay.
begin with, our focus is going to be buy and hold strategies.
Okay. Understood. Okay.
All right, guys, any other questions?
Anand, I have one question.
Yes, sir.
Like, what kind of knowledge should people have to join this program? Like, can a beginner or an intermediate also join? Or
No, they don't need any knowledge to join the program.
okay, Another question is like, say, you also talked about few sites which would require subscriptions, which you have subscribed for, or what we would also have to subscribe to probably
No,
to
no,
understand what.
no. When we're gonna share our thesis, it's gonna come with full details. We're gonna put all the charts that are necessary, all the information. We actually gonna do the write up for each company, and we're gonna continue to update that on a regular basis. So you don't need to go buy any other subscription. If you want to go run the numbers yourself, then you're welcome to choose whatever company you want to choose. But we
Okay.
certainly don't require it. The idea is to save money, not to spend money.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. That's what I was, should you all subscribe for it to do our own analysis, or how to do it? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. You whether you agree, once you hear my point of view, see, the idea is I have a point of view and you have a point of view. Either I'm going to have you believe in my point of view or you're going to have me believe in your point of view. Either way, we're going to walk out as a winner because we'll have a better understanding of whatever we are talking about.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
One question from my side: is it you want this is 3,000 together, or some kind of
Yeah. So
whatever installment kind of?
yeah, so it's going to be one lump sum payment. Like I said, you have an option to do 2,000 if you don't need me to look at your finances in great details. If you just want to join the program, it's just $2,000 one-time payment for the entire year. I mean, remember, we don't have
Got it.
like
Okay.
a billing department and all. We don't want to add on any other additional cost. I mean, think about it, guys. It's not for me, Anidya, Chitsar, it's not a money-making opportunity for us.
No, no,
May,
yeah, that I understand, because see, after February 19th, a lot of money is lost. So if somebody can guide us, how to, this
No, no, no,
3,000 is
no.
nothing,
I
frankly.
will actually let me rephrase that for you. I,
Yes.
I think I think a big opportunity is just on the horizon. I'll let Chid and Anidya add to it if they feel otherwise. I mean, I think there's a lot of opportunity to make money this year. Chid, sir, Anidya, what do you guys think?
I agree with you. And one of the things that we need to emphasize here for you people, so far you have been sitting in your home desk using one single brain, if I may call it, after a long day at work, and you decided to pick a stock and go and enter it without knowing the fundamentals, without knowing the technicals, or knowing somewhat of it. But here we are three guys in a box, and we are no ordinary guys. I wouldn't call ourselves as extraordinary guys, but we know something what we're doing. We have learned from our past experience. We have learned which IPO worked for us, which IPO didn't work for us. So I think we three come and pick a stock. We're not offering investment advice, but you better go and get that stock too, because over a period of number of years it'll go up. Having said that, the market, all I want to justify to you is look at the S&P chart for the last 15 years and tell me what do you think. It's very simple. Had you invested 15 years ago, no matter if Democrats ruled it or we had COVID, pandemonium, whatever else, look at that 15-year chart. Had you bought SPY 15 years ago, think about where you will be sitting right now. And I'll leave you with that.
No, surely that I agree. Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Hey, Deepak, I got one quick question.
Uh,
So, you said you would be talking about 40, 50 different companies, right, all together. So, can you structure like, when you are talking about one company, okay, well, first we are going to talk about fundamental, then technical, then the valuation, then the financial statements, like in a structured manner, like kind of like, the way you learn in school, with the curriculum.
Yeah, absolutely. In matter of fact, I think that will probably improve over time as we start to collect feedback from people. Like, okay, this is working, this is not working, or we are overcomplicating, or we are understating some facts or something like that. So I think it will improve. Hopefully, like I said, this first year I think going to be as much of a learning experience for all three of us. Like, one thing is doing this on our own, and one thing is teaching other people. Um, So I think that's where there are going to be some disconnects in the beginning, but we are committed to making sure that it works for everyone. So we'll work in that direction.
Deepak ji, one other question. You said all three of you would have like 50 stocks, and approximately. How would you divide them under different verticals?
Yeah.
Like say,
Yeah. So what I mean by 50 stocks is, see, we we don't want to promise you that we're going to talk about every single business on the planet, right? We have limited time. So our goal was that, hey, we are three of us, each one of us find out our top convictions and let's share that with the world. So, and we're going to do it independently. So I'm going to come up with my 15, Chid going to do his 15, and they're going to do his 15. And once we have that, we are in charge of those companies, getting to learn about them, continue to update everybody else, and all that kind of stuff. Out of those companies, then we are going to say, okay, we three of us going to pick maybe 10 or 15 of those companies where we have the highest conviction. So all 50 looks good, but out of those, we are going to pick 10 or 15. So now we're mixing that pie there. Okay. And then within those 15, we will probably have some strategies in place. For example, I talked about Murphy this earlier in the call, right? That has nothing to do with NASDAQ. It's nothing to do with semiconductor, nothing to do with IT. It's old petroleum and grocery stores or convenience stores. So it's there. It's like, gives me a little bit of protection against everything else that I might have in portfolio. So similarly, we might have, three or four growth companies. We might have some that are income producing companies. So we might have like a mix of certain things. So that way the portfolio is well balanced. And we'll share that. And we might even decide to come up with different portfolios depending upon what people want to know. Maybe we have like, okay, maybe we built one income portfolio, maybe we built one growth portfolio, maybe we built like one comprehensive portfolio. So again, I don't know that right now. As the group grows and as I start to see what people have interest in, then we'll come up with some different strategies around there.
thank you, Deepak ji.
Deepak ji, quick question.
Uh-huh.
Number one, you talked about conviction. I'm assuming the conviction as of today, not as of like a couple of years ago. Is that fair to expect?
What conviction of what? Of a company, of a
Conviction
market?
of the conviction into the 10 to 15 stocks that you, Chid, and Anindya would bring to the table.
Yeah. So, so number one, obviously, we need to first of all need to have enough conviction that this company will even exist 20 years from now, right? We all have to agree on that. So that's number one. Number two, we need to see a conviction of a growth, right? Which company is going to be able to grow? So if you have a growth portfolio, then we need to make sure the company will still exist and the company will be able to grow. So we need to and we'll put that out there like, okay, this is what we believe about that, and this is what our conviction level is. But at the end of the day, like Anindya said earlier in the beginning, or when he was answering somebody else's question, is conviction is something you build over time. So no matter what I say, like Chid said, hey, NVIDIA going to be back up to 150 soon, right? Or maybe not soon, maybe at the end of the year or early next year, or whatever. I don't know the timing. But how do you really buy into that argument? To be able to buy that argument, you got to be able to understand the market. You got to be able to understand the competition. You got to be able to understand the chip. Anindya said earlier, well, I was telling all my friends to buy it when it was really cheap. I mean, I don't blame any of his friends who didn't buy it because they don't understand NVIDIA. I didn't understand the NVIDIA. We were doing discussion call and somebody asked me to do valuation on the company. I'm like, I don't know how. I don't even know how big that market is. I can't do valuation on that company, So that's how you build convictions. You got to understand the business. And if you can't, like if I don't understand NVIDIA, why do I have to invest in NVIDIA? I can always invest in something else. There are other companies that I understand. So that's the idea. I think in the group you're gonna hear different point of views from different people, and I think together we should be able to build that conviction. Aditya
Yeah,
bhai?
so just to add, just to add on the conviction part. So
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, just to add on the conviction part, right? So more than conviction is the trick. Whether if your conviction doesn't go, because at the end of the day, if your conviction works, it's probability 0.5. If it doesn't, the other half, right? it's more of a hedge game. Okay. So what if, so for example, I'll give a classic example. So I mean, my NVIDIA, cost basis is way low, right? But I sold NVIDIA in IRA, but I haven't sold in my individual brokerage. So now I have a conviction this will go over 150, right? But then the question is, then why did I say to my IRA, right? So those are the things. It's not about conviction. It's about what you think about something, but how you play the game. It's more of how you play the video game. So for me, it's like a video game. So if you have a conviction on something, like okay, what if it doesn't happen? What is the plan B? So plan B is the other mix of the trade that I can help out with, like saying, okay, this is the plan A. If it doesn't work, what is the plan B? That kind of thing is what, because yeah, as I said, I mean, Warren Buffett's conviction also doesn't. I mean, he was wrong on Apple. He came very late into Apple, and he himself got out of way early. And by the way, it is fine because he has billions of dollars. Right? Uh, so that's why if you just think unidirectionally about one stock, whether you can say convictionally whether it will go up tomorrow or whether it will go past like 100% this year, nobody can say that. Nobody can. It can just be the opposite end. But if it does, or if it doesn't, what is the other plan B? That's where we can help.
Yeah, I mean strategies.
That's a
I'll
good
give you,
perspective.
and I
Yeah,
don't want to talk
strategy.
about, I don't want to talk about performance, but since we're talking about that, I mean, for example, this year, market been very rocky. So I made some strategic move. Like I said earlier, I sold some of the stuff and I took some cash out. So almost 15% of my portfolio is in cash now, or at least out of equity markets. And I'm still up 10% plus year to date for this year. And if market goes down, I'm well positioned to take advantage of it. And all the companies that I do own, I think even if market goes down, they're not going to go down that much because they are already at fair value at this point. And anything that was overvalued, I sold it. So I have that in cash. So those are the kind of strategies you need to have in play if you want to deal with market. Anyhow, that's how I deal with it. But you will have another perspective and Chitser perspective as well. So you'll have multiple ways to deal with the problem.
Thank you. And part B of my question is, like you said, three of you are going to pool up and put, let's say, X amount to begin with. Your philosophy for the three of you, is it going to be like every week, every 15 days, every month, or only when the opportunity arises? What are
Yeah.
your thoughts?
Yeah. So that depends. Well, so it's too early for all that, right? So in order to answer that question, you need to understand how you buy stock. Some people, you know, obviously we are starting from scratch. That means we are going to be in acquisition phase of a particular company. In an acquisition phase, sometimes we might see a huge opportunity and we might jump in all at once. Sometimes we say we are not so sure, so maybe we will, take a bite at it and then we'll slowly see how this company grows. Uh, so there's no like right or wrong answer. It just depends on the situation. Chitser, I think you might have a better answer on this one, right?
I think the question of when we increase or decrease
Can you hear us? Chitser, we lost you.
is when the opportunity presents itself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's not like
Chitser, I think something wrong with your microphone. We're kind of not able to hear you.
Yeah, the audio is choppy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Are you able to hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. The question is we look for the right opportunity to enter, not on a mundane way, but when the market presents itself an opportunity. And we were analyzing these 45 odd companies, out of which we narrow it down to one third of it. And then we constantly look for the right opportunity to get into those one third of companies. So it is not a mundane thing. It is maybe we enter two trades in 1 month, and another month there's no trade at all. It's quite possible.
Yeah, and by the way, in the meanwhile, we will be still putting cash in, so we're still saving the money up for that next trade. So
Exactly.
yeah. So no, if the question is, are we going to go put 100,000 on day one? No, we're certainly
No.
not doing that. We're gonna slowly grow this portfolio. And we'll be here. We kind of interesting to see 3 years down the road when we are able to show that, hey, look, we started with zero and here's $1 million portfolio. All right, guys. Anybody else have any question? I think we discussed this matter in like all kind of great details. I'm glad we had this discussion. But if any more questions, let's take them. Otherwise, let's call it a day. And then if you guys are interested, just send me a message that hey, let's go for it. We want to get to like maybe about 20 people in the program to begin with. So that way we can learn from you guys as well, like how to improve it and whatnot. Um, I mean, I think the amount of knowledge we're going to share over the year, we can probably charge good $8,000 to $10,000 a year for this program, and I think people will happily pay because there will be a value in it. So for all of you guys who wants to join in early, I think it's definitely a treat.
So let me ask a question to the people here. What do you guys think about it? Do you think there's a value for 2K, or you guys think it is worth it or not worth it?
Oh, good question.
Silence.
See, in my opinion, 3,000 or 2,000 per year. It's if you look at per month, it's like 150 to 250 if you're like taking for 2,000 or 3,000. And even you take any subscription for any software, you would have to pay for it. It's probably
Exactly.
you take 2 or 3 subscriptions, it will be amount to $150 per month.
Exactly.
So I think there is a lot of value in this, where I've seen some other coaching programs way expensive than this. And Deepak ji also told some of the few of the opportunities that he's working, like probably they are very, very high end. But I think there is a lot of value in this, especially starting with 3,000, because this is probably they are starting it new. They are probably at a lower end of cost. But I really hope this stays the same in coming few years as well.
Yeah, so what we're going to do is all the people who are going to join in the beginning, we are just going to stick with that price for them. They will always be
Okay.
grandfather into it.
Okay. Yeah, grandfather program is really good.
Yeah. By the way, Chid, Anadya, you're okay with that, right? I should have asked you that first. But that they was like, I'm like,
Yeah, this should be okay. I mean, people who join in the first year, you're saying, or
yeah,
it should
because
be okay.
they're kind of also trusting us, so they should get some value out of it.
Yeah, true. I agree. I mean, early birds who, I mean, they believe and trust, and if we grow, obviously they were the first ones based on how we grew. So yeah, their price should remain the same
Yeah.
throughout.
Yeah. In matter of fact, what we're thinking is once 6 months down the road so Wealth Summit that's where we're going to really launch the program. So by the Wealth Summit we would have a lot of good feedback from you guys, and we are going to come up with a nice affiliate program at that point where you guys will be able to go share it with your friends, family members, and earn a nice affiliate income on it as well. So we'll turn it into a money making opportunity for you guys as well.
Yeah, okay. Another question, Deepak ji, like say you said like $1,000 of the deep dive strategy that you're talking about. Is it mandatory to take it every year, or is it like say after 3 years? Okay, can we skip that piece and then only go with $2,000?
Yeah. So this is only for first year, right?
Okay.
After that, we just $2,000 a year.
Okay, so we can skip that piece.
Correct.
Going. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And even now, like I said, only if you want me to look into all the detail, because what happens is a lot of people never even look at their finances,
Yeah.
so they're like jumping into all this other stuff and they never even looked at it. So I'm like, oftentimes I look at their finances, I'm like, man, there's like $20,000 savings sitting right here. What are you doing investing?
I know. Yeah. Okay. That was my another question I wanted to ask that people forgot. Okay.
All right, guys. I think thank you so much for all of you guys joining, and Chit sir and Idya, thank you so much for giving us your time. So format will be very similar every 2 weeks. For 1 hour, we are going to have our own agenda that we're going to discuss. 1 hour will be open for live Q&A. You'll be able to ask questions about what we discuss, or if you want to talk about any other company, whatnot. Three of us will be. By the way, I shouldn't promise you that all three of us, depending upon who is available, who is not, but at least two of us will be available. That because sometimes somebody needs to take care of their kids, somebody's sick, somebody needs to travel. So our goal is going to be at least two of us are on the call.
And I hope that a 2 hour call will be in a like PST friendly time zone, not at like 6 to 8, especially dealing with kids.
We can talk about that. That's a good one. I
Okay.
mean, what is this was a good time? Like 7:30 PST, was that a good time or no?
Probably 8 starting 8 would be good, or at least in the afternoon. If you want to do on a weekends, probably afternoon also would be good.
I
I don't know,
think
like what people are.
weekend people probably want to travel a lot. Maybe 8 to 10 might be okay.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't know how late will it be for EST people or the people who are in like central time zone or
Exactly.
other zone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a good point. But I think most people, like for something like this, I mean, we're talking about like once every 2 weeks. I think people be hopefully be okay. But we can we'll figure it out together. We don't have to.
Yeah.
And plus, I think most people will probably prefer it late at night when kids are sleeping and all that, so they can
Yes.
just kind of focus on this stuff.
Yep.
And then if they
Okay.
can't, then it's recorded. They can go watch it next day. All right, guys. So Anidya sir, Chit sir, anything you guys want to add before we wrap it up?
No, nothing from my side.
So Deepak, so the way we have to subscribe is we have to reach out to you on WhatsApp, or how do we
Yeah.
do it?
Just on WhatsApp, just send me a message because, like I said, it's not like we are not like professionals running a company like this right now, right?
Okay.
The idea behind today was so we didn't really come up with this on our own. It's people like you who have asked for this service. So people reach out to us and in different format, they said, "Hey, can you guys manage the money? Can you do it this way, that way?" I've been trying to delay it for a couple of years. Anidya tried it, Chitser tried it. This year we all got together and we're like, you know what? A lot of people are reaching out. Let's make it a formal kind of a program. And then by three of us, it kind of like doesn't put all the burden on one person, right? So if somebody needs to
Yeah.
travel, whatnot, we can help each other out. And for you guys, it's a lot of value instead of getting, like you said, most of these groups that you even join typically run by one person. You're only dependent on one. So now you're getting like very comprehensive knowledge from three people. So yeah, just send me a message that, hey, Deepak, I want to join the group. Send me the instructions and I'll work on that.
Well, Deepak, don't
Yes,
you
sir.
want to tell them how they represent it?
Yes, sir, your voice is still choppy.
Oh, don't you want to tell them in what manner do you want the payment to be made to you?
A credit card will be fine. I mean, or we can come up with a lot of different ways. I mean, I don't know. Just
Do you want to put it in the group or something? That way they are clear.
um, I mean, I don't know. Let's formalize it. The first step is anybody interested, send me a message that, hey, sign me up. Okay. That's the first step. And then I'll figure out all the rest.
Exactly. Okay.
Okay.
And probably one input from my side is for folks who are interested, maybe we can have a separate group because we don't want to clutter the 600 plus group there,
Correct.
and that
Correct.
it
Correct.
becomes more of.
Of course.
I agree.
Of course. Yeah. That would be a completely separate group altogether. Yeah.
Deepati, any specials for first 10 signups you do?
Arun bhai, trust
Arun bhai.
me. You got
I
you
trust you. No,
no, but think about it.
listen, I'm not asking for discount. I'm just asking, I'm not looking for a discount. Neither I'm asking for discount. I'm just trying to, ask on behalf of probably other members and myself as well. Are there any special
Let me
that, first 10 messages you get so you can start getting ting tong tonight,
uh, let me rephrase your word, Tarun bhai. What you should have said is, yeah, I'm asking this because I'm Indian, and it is my birthright to ask for discounts.
Yeah, but हम
What's
Bay
the
Area
worst
वाले
that
Indian है
can
ना?
happen?
We are rich Indians, so I should not ask for discount and disrespect people like that.
Um,
तो Bay Area में रहने का ये तो फायदा उठाओ ना तुम.
um, I mean, I don't know. I mean, if I put a couple $100 off, would that make a difference to you guys? I don't think it would, but tell me. Would it make difference to some of you guys to join the program right now?
It wouldn't harm Deepak. Yeah, people would if you want people to sign up faster and you want people to
Okay,
Okay.
okay, I'll make it easy. I'll make it
yeah.
easy, and I'll have Anidya and Chid. I apologize to you guys because I'm doing this without asking for your approval. In this group, everything is decided by all three of us together. By the way, just so you know, so I'm sorry if I'm saying this without your approval. Anybody who joined tonight, and when I say join means you message me that okay, I'm ready to join. Instead of $3,000, I'll make it 2,500.
See, now you will get a lot of buzzes on your phone.
All right. So since you guys asked, so only tonight, send me a message that okay, I want to do it. If that makes any difference, I personally, I think there's so much value that few $100 here off, there off would make no difference. But yeah, I get your point. That's it's just a motivational pill.
This
Hey,
you might have to put in the main group because half of the participants have already dropped off from this call.
hey,
Yeah. So since you asked, Tarun Bhai, maybe everybody can thank you for this. I will put the recording and I will put it in there.
hey,
Thank you,
Tarun
Tarun.
Bhai. Hey, Tarun Bhai, you asked the right question. You got the discount. And this is Chid. I would love to see you in the program, Tarun Bhai.
डेफिनेटली आई एम इन यार मैं तो दीपक के साथ नाराज हूँ मुझे यार इसमें पार्टनर क्यों नहीं बनाया मेरा हिस्सा डालो 25% का गलत हुआ है मेरे साथ तो
Good.
आई एम इन ऑल द मीटिंग दीपक भाई वैसा बहुत गलत हुआ है यार ये तुम बड़े बड़े लोग साले हम छोटों को भूल गए मेरा भी 25% लॉक कर दो अभी से आई एम बाइंग ऑन योर आईपीओ
All right. Deepak granted your wish right away.
डन डन
uh,
डन बता देना कितना पैसा वायर करना है, मैं करवा दूंगा बनाओ बड़ा
uh,
सा पोर्टफोलियो बनाओ क्या 10,000 से शुरू करते हो एक
uh,
आधे महीने से शुरू करो
no, no, Tarun bhai, I will tell you why. The thing is, we don't want to give any idea to people where I'm somehow making them feel like I'm trying to get them into a program because of fear or because of greed. I'm trying to be as neutral as possible. Like you join it because you want to learn, you want to do the right thing, you want to put in the time, you want to grow organically. So I want the right crowd. That's why I'm not trying to, that's why I'm being very conservative in a lot of different ways.
नो आई टोटली गेट दैट अच्छा दो चीज़ें मेरा 25% रख लेना और दूसरा मेरा तो आपने फाइनेंशियल्स देख रखे यू ऑलरेडी सीन माय फाइनेंशियल्स तो मुझे तो वो 2000 वाला चाहिए तो मेरे में तो 500 एडजस्ट हो जाएगा ना बिकॉज आई एम सिटिंग ऑन ऑल कैश यू ऑलरेडी नो दैट
हेलो आप कहाँ आप ग्रुप पे अपना फाइनेंस खोल रहे हो
नो इट्स ओके आई मीन इट्स ओके मेरे से ले थोड़ी ना जाएगा तो
uh, चलो ठीक है we'll talk, okay?
नो प्रॉब्लम नो प्रॉब्लम चलो
चलो
आई एम द फर्स्ट क्लाइंट रिमेंबर दैट आपके ग्रुप का सबसे पहला मैं था
you
ऑलवेज
got
रिमेंबर
So,
दैट
Deepak,
So
Deepak,
I have one observation.
जी sir.
Given some of the stock prices, individual stock, depending upon which you pick, could be in hundreds or even thousands. Maybe the $10,000 you start may not be enough to capture the pool of stocks you want to go with. Just,
um
just keep that in mind.
Yeah, but remember, I'm just somebody. I didn't really say 10,000. That's because somebody just asked, like, what's your plan,
Okay, okay.
right? We may even go bigger or what. I don't know the answer. That was like I just wanted to kind of put it out there that we're gonna put our own money together, and the reason why we want to do it, so that we are putting our own money at risk, right? So that's the main reason. We might go more, and we will continue to add. I think over the 1 year we probably will add another $150,000 or even perhaps even more. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, okay. Because you're living in Bay Area, given the cost of living over here, 10, 15, 30,000, 40,000 doesn't take you much far, let alone for
No, I'm
retirement.
with you. I'm with you. But the idea is to just show
No,
average
I
person
get it. I
anybody
get
can
it.
do
But
it.
there's a critical mass that you need, right? I just wanted to make sure. But I think you answered the question. There was just a number throughout over there, and it's going to grow, and then you modulate accordingly. I
Exactly.
got the answer. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, this has been very informational and instructional. Looking forward to all that you guys are going to bring to the table.
Yeah, awesome. And please, like I said, it's going to be just like discussion call, meaning your inputs are just as important as what we are talking about. So if you don't agree with something, you have a contrarian view on it, please bring it to our attention. That's how together we'll grow this into something big.
See, the richness of discussion is when you don't agree. If everybody agrees, then it becomes monotonous and you don't learn and grow.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. I agree. All right, guys, I think this is awesome. It worked out very well. Let me check my WhatsApp group, see if anybody sent a message yet. So just just see if
Yeah,
the
it's
invite
already
required.
9:30.
सबसे
Okay.
पहले मैंने भेजा है. I'm the first one to send you the message.
Oh my God, I actually got 4 messages so far already. Um,
Yeah, so if folks earn a lot of money after the first year, buy three of us a drink if Deepak ji and Chitsa drinks. I do.
repeat that, Anindya bhai. I couldn't hear you. Sorry.
I said if the people here make a lot of money after the first year, right? They should. It's good if they can buy us a drink.
I think somebody will. I think what will happen is i- once we have all the right people in the group, I think there will be so many opportunities that we might be able to do things together in so many
Exactly.
different ways.
Exactly.
Buying
Yeah, yeah.
hotels, motels, apartment buildings, farmland. We can go in all bunch of different directions. I mean, what are we going to do with it? We don't want to have everything in equities, right? So I think there are going to be a lot of opportunities. And people ask me all the time, like, who do I partner up with? Well, you built that friendship over time, and this group will do that. It will help people come together and do something even bigger than the group itself.
Hey guys, just a refresher, don't miss the $500 off. Deepak was generous today. So don't miss it. Send a note to him before midnight today. And in India, the next time I meet you, I'll buy you the drink. Not to worry.
And we will try to do that, by the way. Every now and then we'll try to set up a local meetup in
Yeah.
different areas, and then we'll try to invite people so we can do some in-person stuff as well.
Deepak ji, once we make good money, we should plan a cruise, like a 3-night cruise or something, and then we talk about investments over there, have fun, then we can have all the drinks over there as well.
Yeah, of course, of course. I think all of that stuff will naturally happen.
Happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
But
True.
what I want to do for next 1 year though is we really need to get focused. I think if we get distracted in a lot of different directions, I don't think we're going to do that well. But if we get focused and keep our eyes on the ball, I think we're doing do really, really well.
And I just want to add something. A lot of you guys can, Deepak, I don't know how your coaching is structured, so forgive me if I cross my lines or limits right here.
Mhm.
If you guys are business owners, this can also be a tax write-off for you because this is your coaching, this is your learning, and and if you're not a business owner, I think so. Can't you still? I don't know. Can a person still take a tax deduction for continuous education
Yeah.
for
To
some?
know the answer, set up a tax consultation.
Okay.
But since you guys are interested in the program, I'll give you the answer. For all the business owners, because I'm talking about valuations, fundamentals, and all that, so this is directly related to learning finance about your business. So certainly it's a tax write-off for you. Okay, and I'm going to structure it that way if you already have an existing business. If you don't have an existing business, then most likely it's not going to be a write-off because you don't you're not really earning anything out of finance. However, that is not the end of the world. Some of you guys, I think, brought up a good point that maybe some of you guys have a big investment. Maybe you have millions of dollars that you want to invest. For some of you guys, maybe we structure the entire investment as a business itself. So we'll talk about all of those strategies during the coaching program as well. How we can leverage it from tax point of view. All right, guys, I think we're all good. So I'm going to go ahead and share this video on the group as well. Once again, I want to remind everyone there's no investment advice. Please don't join it because you want to know which stocks we are buying. It will be there, but that's not the reason why you want to buy. You want to join. You want to join here because of pure knowledge, understanding different point of view, attacking the problem from different point of view, different strategies. So all the other reasons that we talk about. Just picking stocks, please, that would be a mistake. You're going to be hurting yourself, and that's not the purpose of the group. The group is to really teach you how to go fish yourself. All right. Anindya Bhai, thank you. And Chit sir, thank you so much for joining, and everybody else who stick around all the way till end. I really appreciate it. That tells me that all of you guys are interested. So certainly reach out to me. and let me know if you guys are ready to sign up. I already see 5 people so far have messaged me already. So, Chit sir, I think we certainly have enough interest to get started.
Sure, absolutely.
And then I think outside of the group, there many people had sent me a message that they won't be able to join, but they still want to join the program. So I think
Yeah,
we at least have 10 students so far.
Deepak ji, but please remember to put the message of the discount in the main group today itself. That way they can
Yes.
see it. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Yeah. Maybe we should extend it till tomorrow because it's late. Most people will probably watch the video tomorrow,
No problem.
right?
No problem.
All right. And I'll put there, just because Tarun Bhai asked.
No, so thank you, thank you, thank you so much.
All right, guys.
And then you can create a group of the participants who are joining, a separate
Yes.
group. That way we can keep adding them there.
Yeah. So I'll do that. I will send an invite for the separate group on one-on-one to each one. We're not going to
Yeah.
put that in the main group. All right.
And Deepak ji, in that separate group, please add how to make the payment as well.
Yes. Let me work on that now that I know enough people are
Yeah.
interested. Do I set up a separate entity? Do I just take the payment and then I put the money into separate entity? We got to figure because some logistics, but we'll figure it out.
Okay.
All right, guys. All right. Thank you very much, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you find a lot of value in it, and we are with you. We're gonna do this together.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone. Take
Good night.
Night.
Good night.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Good night.